You are watching Conscious Evolution with Wes Heffernan.
While my mom's side of the family is a perfect example of how family should be, the Heffernan side is a great example of what a family is not supposed to be, kind of, right? Well, it's big. When my dad and his brothers and sisters were all younger, family was, I think, something that they saw one day a week. And Grandpa worked all the time, right? And there's a lot to all of that. But family wasn't ever something that has been real big from my perception or my experience with my dad's side of the family. Mm-hmm. Even now today, I work with them, of course, and we get to see each other. I work with my brother. We get to see each other, who coincidentally is roughly the same age as my son. My son's 18, Taylor's 19. So it's been neat to see two people the same age, one raised by who raised me, and then one raised by someone who was trying to protect them from that. And yet we kind of sit in the same place. And this is something I didn't fully feel the truth of, and it's what it means until about a week ago. And that, literally, I told you I had a pretty significant event occur, last week or so, whatever. And anyway, it kind of ties into that. But so when it comes to parenting, there is no real right answer, is it? I mean, you do the best you can, and you show support, and you do the best you can. And at the end of the day, no matter what you do, you're going to create demons with, that your kids, your offspring, maybe that's a bad word, but obstacles, you're going to create obstacles within your offspring that, they have to overcome, that are because of you. And I think that's a part of nature's, at least for humans, a part of, nature's path anyway. But really being able to see, in some ways I did some disservices to my son by not putting pressure and not having, expectations, right? Like certain things were demanded over here, and if it wasn't reached, he might make you cry. Like, he was never abusive physically whatsoever, but verbally, yeah. So I was lucky to have that balance. And I tried to protect my son from a lot of that. And, it didn't matter, right? Like, Taylor's facing the same things, questions, like they're sitting 18, 19, they're sitting about where we were at 21, 20. And, the 21 to 24, that's really where the rest of your life is decided. You can always change, but how difficult it gets after you start down, after you lay that foundation from 21 to 24 about who you're going to be. It's hard. It takes a lot more work to tear everything down to start back over, and most people don't have the time to even recognize that they need to do so, much less have the time to do the work to make it possible. And it kind of comes full circle back to what we're talking about doing here is.
You look at a small child, they say that the first few years they're like a sponge. You can teach them many languages, and they start forming who they are. So what makes you say that in that 21-year-old range that this is like they're forming who they're going to be?
So there's a 7-year cycle and a 12-year cycle. We can refer to it a lot of ways. I refer to it typically as a masculine and a feminine, but what I mean by that is masculine is about what you project, and feminine is about what you bring in, what you feel about yourself internally, and masculine is about what you're projecting about yourself.
Which one is 7? Which one is 4?
7 would be the feminine, and 12 would be the masculine. And so, 12, 13, 14 is a very formative period because of that cycle. You're finishing up your first cycle of projecting, puberty one, but you're for the 12-year side, you're finishing your first cycle of who am I, right? And so at 13, coming into 14, you're like you're trying to figure out who you are. Your first 7 years is nothing but a sponge. Everything is new, right? Everything is new. So you're soaking it all up. And yes, that is a very important time for this first setting. You know, you're going to build a couple stages in your life, right? To play on. And so that first stage, you're building early, and that's what you're going to face when you're coming into 18, 19, 20, is understanding that I don't have to play on this stage. I want to make my own stage, right? Like I understand I built this stage, but somebody else provided all the parts, the plans, right? Like this isn't my stage. This stage is, I want to build my stage. And so
when it comes down to building the foundation of a building, how does it correlate? Is the 21-year-old really the foundation, or is the 7-year-old?
Well, I guess we can talk about this picture right here, and is this land the core of this building, that swimming pool that used to be here, or is it something different now? And so how far do you want to tear down? Do you want to wipe off the surface? Are you comfortable with the fact that you've built your foundation early on truth, capital T truth? Or is it possible that a lot of the things that you saw and were told and were taught by people that were still searching themselves might not be the actual capital T truth? Surely it's their truth, right? But it might not be the truth. And so how far do you want to tear it down?
Your truth?
No.
Small
T would be my truth, your truth, her truth, the individual's truth. The capital T truth will be absolute, right? Like God or love, energy, if you want to go scientifically speaking. There's a variety of ways that you can look at it. Those three are the main: the mind, the spirit, the body, energy, love, and God. God is consciousness. God is what drives human consciousness. It's the masculine side. It's the fire, right? Water is the emotional side, the feminine side. It's what tames the fire. And so where the two meet, you have earth, you have land, you have something solid, you have structure, and you have form. You have the body. It's the combination of the fire and the water that allow that to happen. And so with the foundation, it really boils down to how deep do you want to go? And it's not meant for everybody to tear down their whole structure, right? Like some people may be good, like, not everybody's, I don't know the exact place in the Bible, but it's been something that's stuck with me a long, long, long time. And I believe it's the Epistle of Paul, I think. But it's where you're talking about, for those in the body of Christ that are the feet, should not look up upon the eyes and wish they were eyes. And I know I'm paraphrasing this really, but like, for how can you reach anything that you see without the feet? Like, your role is important. But at the same time, the eyes shouldn't look down upon the hands because they're hands. Because, again, without the hands, how could you ever touch and feel and reach anything that you see, right? So it's about the balance of understanding that regardless of what role you play, whether it's something that seems to be extraordinarily important or not, right? They're equally important and should be taken with equal amount of passion.
Fit together.
And they should fit together to operate functionally. Like imagine if our heart cells started fighting with our lung cells the way that we are fighting with each other right now, out here, right? Would we live? Could we exist? Absolutely not. So like, we are the example of how we should live internally. Like internally, we are the example. Externally, nature is the example, and right? And so like the human form, the individual me, you, we are the crossing point of that internal and external, right? And that's what the purpose of the human being is. is being that temple for consciousness, to be the crossing point between what can be and what is, right? The potential and the reality.
Thanks for watching. Join us next time on Conscious Evolution. Don't forget to subscribe.